Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson just retired from his organization, Rainbow Push. He just retired, and people are asking the question, what is his legacy? And typically, now hold on, listen. And here's what I'm seeing. And I've seen the same thing with Farrakhan because people are asking the question, he just turned 90. So they're saying, what is his legacy? So when they think somebody is approaching their expiration date, they want to ask the question, what is their legacy? Right. Now, unfortunately, when I saw some gentlemen talking about the so-called legacy of Farrakhan, I thought they were very kind to Farrakhan, which I don't understand. But we'll get back to Farrakhan, but let's talk about Jesse Jackson. He just retired from his organization, and they're saying, well, what is his legacy? Well, Mike, that's very simple. Jesse Jackson's legacy, he is non-existent. Right. He has a legacy of race hustling. He did that quite well. Oh, yeah. He has a legacy of corporate shakedowns. He did that quite successfully. Yeah. He ran for president, but he knew that was never going to come into fruition. So that was really, I call this a publicity stunt to promote his organization, right, and to increase contributions to his organization. Right. People will say, oh, look at Jesse. He's running for president. Let's get behind him. Let's not just support his campaign, but let's just support his organization. As that's just a consequence of that. And he knew, right. So it sounds like he was really just a self-serving individual, right, because when he would show up and do his shakedowns, money was exchanged, but the people, the rank and file people, or the so-called rank and file victims, never got anything from Jesse. Right. Everything went back to Chicago with Jesse. Right. Okay. He was there when Martin Luther King got shot, but that's not a legacy. You just happened to be there, right, when they took King out. Right. He never said anything that was consequential. He didn't have consequential information. He wasn't revolutionary in his tone of speaking. Jesse Jackson, he created his Rainbow Push organization in 1971. They never did nothing for nobody. Right. It was a great fundraising mechanism for Jesse, right, and his family, right, and friends. Right. But currently today, as he embarks upon his retirement, and everybody's thinking that he's approaching his expiration date, and he has, I believe he has Alzheimer's disease. His net worth, I said his net worth, okay, is 11 million. Now, here's my problem with Jesse Jackson, the race hustler, the fraud, having a net worth of 11 million, but I'm stopping myself. Before I move on, I almost left out that Jesse, now I'll get to that, because we'll continue with his legacy. That $11 million, that's his net worth. Here's my problem with it. Can you tell me what his legitimate product and or service was? Exactly. He didn't have one. Okay. So you have to have a product or a service to accumulate wealth. If you don't have a product, a genuine product or service to accumulate wealth, then you're getting what we call erroneous wealth. Okay. You're getting it by an ill-gotten way. Okay.
Exactly. When that girl from New Jersey supposed to get raped or something, him and
Al Sharpton
came. That's the only time they come, when they know money is going to be involved.
So what you're saying is that they get their money, off the backs of other people's pain and suffering. Right. Just like Benjamin Crump. Right. He's falling in that same footstep. He's just a little more lucrative. Right. He walks away with 50 million, 20 million, 25 million, but he's still a coon. Right. Black people are fascinated and taken aback. Oh, he's a lawyer. He's successfully. Let me tell you something. Because he's a lawyer, that means nothing. Okay, so stop it. Here's the thing, though, Mike. He goes. You take a guy like Benjamin Crump. trust me, he's not very sound and savvy as it relates to the X's and O's of the legal system.
Right.
And his approach is very basic. He shows up where something has happened, and that thing that has happened gives him the ability to say, so-and-so is a victim and their civil rights have been violated. And it's very easy to win a settlement when you are a so-called civil rights lawyer because everybody's scared to even fight back. So he only has to show up, and he know that they're going to cut a check because they want it to go away.
Right.
Guilty or not guilty. People don't even want to fight when these loudmouth black lawyers show up talking about a civil rights violation.
Right.
So how good of a legal expert do you have to be when all you have to do is show up and cry racism?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There's no real talent anymore.
No.
There's no real talent anywhere. Now, we're going to get back to Jesse because there's things about Jesse that people should know if y'all going to be out here talking about his legacy. So let's talk about this so-called legacy, which is non-existent, but because a legacy, the reason why I say it's non-existent, because a legacy should be positive attributes. Would you agree?
Right.
All I've listed is negative attributes, correct?
Correct.
Well, let me continue on with another negative attribute as it relates to Jesse. And I sort of met Jesse Jackson one time. I might come back to that. I probably will. So listen. well, let me tell you, Mike. There was a homosexual sodomite employee working for Rainbow Push.
Right.
His name was Tommy Bennett.
Right.
Tommy Bennett currently has a lawsuit in Cook County, which is Chicago,
Right.
against the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Right.
Okay. And Jackson tried to settle the suit.
Right.
That's guilt right there, baby.
Right.
You ain't settling no suit if you ain't guilty.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You want the guilt and the shame to go away before it can really blow up in the media. So let me go ahead and slide him something. But Tommy Bennett said, no. That I don't want that. That ain't enough.
Right.
Let me tell you something, Mike. If you have a sexual harassment lawsuit and a man has filed that against you, and let's say you're guilty, and I assume he's guilty. I'm sorry. I assume Jesse did what Tommy accused him of doing, which we'll get to that. If you're going to try to go through the back door and settle that lawsuit, don't lowball a guy. Go ahead and give him what he wants to make it disappear.
Right.
Because when you lowball him, now you just create a whole new life with that thing, and it can really blow up on you in the media.
Right.
Well, he lowballs the guy like, nah, I don't want that. Well, let me tell you, and there's people that have basically validated Tommy and his story. Here's what Tommy is accusing Jackson of. Well, first of all, he said that Jackson cursed him out in front of the office one day.
Right.
Okay. But he also said that, now listen to this, you curse a guy out in the office in front of everybody.
Right.
You tear him down. You then promote him to be your personal assistant that travels with you.
Right.
Wherever you go, he's right there with you with the bags, the briefcase, staying in the same hotel, maybe even same hotel room, staying in the same hotel. He's your right-hand man.
Right.
Now, the last time I checked, a heterosexual man doesn't hire an openly homosexual man to be his personal assistant, right-hand man.
Right.
Because a heterosexual man is not going to be comfortable with that look.
Right.
So that lends itself, along with the settlement that was offered to Mr. Tommy Bennett, that lends itself to suggesting that Jesse was guilty of soliciting this man for oral sex.
Right.
That's what the lawsuit is all about.
Right.
That's the juicy thing in there.
Right.
Mr. Tommy Bennett said that Jesse was soliciting him for oral sex. You see, listen, man. And let me tell you what this ties into. See, that's why you people, you gotta roll with us. Exodus Media #1. Okay, if you go back to that, that's where I talk about and show you how the homosexual LGBTQ sodomite people made it into the civil rights movement, if you recall.
Right.
And I talk about how under King,
Right.
they brought these guys in,
Right.
and King and them signed off on it.
Right.
Okay? So you bring these guys in, you let them play a prominent, semi-prominent role. It's over with, because as I say, when it comes to, as it relates to not just that civil rights movement, bringing the sodomites in, also talk about the Republicans with the log cabin Republicans, bringing the sodomites in. It's not just a vote. They're going to bring all their baggage in tow. You can't tell a homosexual, come on here in here, the movement, and you play such and such role, but you gotta leave the rest of it. They're not leaving nothing. Because listen, they want acceptance, total acceptance.
Right.
So they're not leaving the bag. You got to take all that baggage and funk that they bringing with them. Right. Man, listen, we keep it too real here, Mike. You're not going to go anywhere and see somebody behind a microphone keeping it real like this. So Jesse Jackson has that lawsuit, Cook County, and it's probably going to settle after his death. There's a new guy that came in. If he's smart, the new guy that came in to take Jesse's position, the first thing I would do, let's get that off our books. Right. Okay? Because I'm not moving forward beyond Jesse with this mess lingering here. Right. That's if you want to add validity to the organization, which I don't see how you do that, because it's a fraudulent organization ran by a fraudulent individual all these years. Right. And I'm exposing the fraudulent activity. Everything I'm talking about is fraudulent. Right. And he's supposed to be a minister, a preacher. So this just reeks with fraud. Now, we talked about how he exploited, like Al Sharpton, like Benjamin Crump, death and misery. BLM did the same thing. They capitalized on the death of black males. Black male dies during a police altercation. Everybody knows. Let's show up. Let's get that fundraising mechanism going. Let's talk that talk. Let's get the people riled up. That's why we had 570 riots after George Floyd all across America, major cities burning. People, about 36 people died as a result of the riots that we know. Okay, so how you gonna have riots over a guy that died during a police altercation interaction, and this is about Black life mattering, but you kill approximately 36 Black lives throughout the rioting? And not just the physical death of Black individuals throughout the 570 riots that took place after George Floyd. What about when you're burning down Black businesses? And destroying Black-owned property? Right. That's a death. That's a financial death. Right. Okay? But you know what? They'll never speak of that. This is how I'm telling you that this whole race-based industry is fraudulent. And all of the key players are all about their own pockets. Right. You see what those sodomite women that started BLM did. They raised $2 billion, and they done built nice houses. And they got nice houses and they own property and all that, and it's over. BLM is dead. Right. You're not going to see any of them broads in the media saying anything, because right now they don't even want to draw attention to themselves, because everybody knows the gig is up.